and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the Too Faced Glitter Bomb palette, and this is what the palette looks like. I picked this up today at the Sephora fall preview sale, and they only had a couple, so I'm glad I was able to get there on time. It's almost a three-dimensional palette. It has the words glitter, and there's like a plastic overlay, and underneath you can see the glitter underneath the plastic. It's kind of like a 3D, and on a couple of my letters the glitter moves around a little bit, so I think it's kind of cute. The colors aren't really necessarily reflective of the colors that are on the inside, so honestly when I first opened it up I was a little bit surprised because I thought the colors would be more vibrant, you know, similar to the box itself, but the colors are more of like a pastel color. The colors kind of reminded me of the Tarte palette that just came out. I think it's called the Tarte Unicorn palette, where it's the pastel shadows are in that palette. So the colors kind of remind me of that palette. So let me open the palette. There are 8 shadows in here and 2 base colors, white and a black. And here's what the shadows look like. I've already dug into this palette and swatched it and everything. Here's what the shadows look like. Shadows are very beautiful, kind of like they kind of look pastel to me, very summery looking colors. I was pretty surprised when I first opened the palette because I hadn't seen the palette before. I know it's crazy to buy something without seeing it, but I wanted to take this opportunity to get it because they only had a couple. So when I first opened it up, I was surprised that they were so pastel. Another thing I was surprised about is that they don't seem extremely glittery. I was thinking that they would be, I don't know, like more intense glitter. To me, they're more foil like shadows. They're glittery, but they're not as glittery as I thought that they would be, if that makes any sense. But their colors are very beautiful. So when I first swatched the shadows, they appear very thin and unpigmented. So if you purchase any of the Too Faced holiday palettes and you've gotten their glitters, you know how their glitters are. These shadows definitely remind me of the holiday palette. So they are, like, just using them dry, they seem very thin. But today I used them wet and I didn't have any problems. So once I wet the glitters, the colors really came through. So for this look today, the colors I used are Rose All Day, Work It, and then the purple. I didn't have any problems. I was able to do the shadows in about 3 minutes. It didn't take very long. I just packed them on and I was good to go. The interesting thing about this palette is you're supposed to be able to create like 4 different finishes with the palette. So if you use a white base, you're supposed to get like a lighter glitter color, the dark base, a darker glitter color. If you use glitter glue, you're supposed to get a more intense glittery finish. I think that's true. At least that's what happened with me today. I used it wet, and to me today, the shadows, they don't really look like glitter. They look more like foil. If you've ever seen like the Touch and Soul shadows, where it's kind of like a foil-like finish. It's glitter, but it's kind of like a foil-like finish. So first impressions about this palette, I do like this palette. As far as the quality of the shadows, this is definitely a glitter palette. If you don't like glitters, you're probably not going to like this palette. If you didn't like the glitters in the Too Faced holiday palette, you probably won't like this palette. This palette is geared to people that love glitter, that love bright colors. If you work in an office or a corporate environment, I think you can get away with wearing some of these colors. I think what I'm going to do is just put one of the glitters on my lid and then just use like a matte with it, so it's not so obvious, because in my personal opinion, the glitters aren't that glittery. To me, they're more like foil. So as far as like the color payoff, I think the color payoff is extremely vibrant. Once you wet it, you can really see these colors. Dry, it doesn't seem like there's any color payoff at all. Right now, I can't talk about how they'll look over black or white because I haven't tried them out yet, but I'm thinking that they'll look pretty close to how they look in the palette. Overall, I'm satisfied with this palette. I do think maybe $45 is a little bit too high based on just having an all glitter palette, and then on the Natural Love palette there's like what, 30 shadows, and that was $10 additional more dollars. So I think the price point is a little bit high. I do think that this is a nice palette, but I do think the price point is a little bit too high for what you're getting. You're only getting 8 shadows. Yes, you are getting a white and a black base, but as far as the versatility of the palette, if you work in a professional environment or if you don't feel comfortable wearing glitters every day, this probably wouldn't be the palette for you. If you love glitters and bright colors, this is probably right up your alley. So those are my first impressions of this palette. I hope this video was helpful to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you in the next video.